Hello and welcome to Model Kit Beginner. Hopefully you guys are doing all right. I'm certainly doing well. Well, there's a kit review finally coming out. Reason there wasn't one because I was not buying any kits. So bit of a hiatus. We have enough kits to last me out, you know. It will see you out, honey. Yeah, that will see me out. But I've got a couple of vouchers for Christmas and for my birthday. And I finally redeemed them with one of the model retailers here in South Africa. And the one we are going for today is the Gorilla. Sorry for the reflection. There you go. That's much better. Yeah, you will see it obviously in detail once we go down to the bench. But I found that a very interesting kit, reason being that it is a very interesting bike. I always love those little mini bikes. I think they are very cute. Number two, and that is obviously also very important, it's a big scale. It's 1/6, because doing that in 1/12 would be a real pain. So it is not entirely brand new, as we will see in a minute, but it certainly is interesting. So let's go to ScaleMates and have a quick look at the history. So here it is, the Honda Gorilla Spring Collection, 1999. Sorry about that. And you see all the numbers up here. It's from Tamiya, it's 1/6, and it was done in 2001 with new parts. And the original was done, let's have a look here, in 1980. That's where that one came out. So we know what to expect. It's a Tamiya 80s kit, which has been dollied up a little bit. Alrighty, here we have the instructions, but we have to, we're going to have a look at that in a minute once we have a look at the kit. So you see the Gorilla, obviously very famous motorbike, and very, very nice little, going back to work and coming back. And it was a little bit more than that. People dollied it up. Most people, as soon as they got them, especially in South Pacific, the minute they got their hands on them, they started certainly changing them and painting them, putting different exhausts on, all that kind of stuff. So to make it a really fancy little racer, and they could get very quick. They really could, and they were very reliable. It was a Honda, so it lasted for a long time. Right, but we want to have a look what is in this box, of course, which will be very important. As you can hear, I have it right in front of me. And apparently it is a very highly accurate static display model. Well, you will be the judge of that. I'll see you down at the bench.
Right, here we go. I am doing the bench section of the video again because I had a couple of issues which didn't work out as well for me as they could have. Number one, the sound was really clippy, so I didn't like that. Number two, it was all very bright, so I put the ISO down, I put the exposure down a little bit, because you will find out that this is a very shiny piece of kit. You will see that in a minute. And number three, my autofocus wasn't working. Well, I got that to work now. So let's have a look at the box here. It is mostly in Japanese, apart from this part, which is in English. Gives you the scale, Gorilla Spring Selection. There we go. Here on this side, you can see the two different ways they would like you to build it. Obviously, you can build it any way you want. Certainly tended more to a colored or black version than the silver one. And on the other side, we have the very same right over here. Right. Now let's open it up. As I said, I have already opened up everything in here. I just do it again, so for the benefit of the video. So we have the instruction sheet, which is the first thing we're going to have a look at. A couple of sprues right over here, all very shiny. We have the decal sheet, big sprue sheets, and then some smaller packages as well, and the normal tech tips from Tamiya as we know them. Right, let's have a quick look at the instruction sheet. You can see here that everything is in Japanese on front, but right here at the back we have different languages as well. I can identify German, English, French. Yeah, that seems to be it. Right, and it gives you also here, if you're wondering what big of a machine this was, it gives you here at the bottom, tells you pretty much what that is all about. Let's go a bit closer here. There you go. That gives you the sizes. It gives you how heavy it is, 67 kilograms. It also tells you how, here actually it is in English, probably a little easier for most of us. Air-cooled engine, 4-cycle, 50 cc, well 49, 3.1 horsepower at 7,500 RPMs. It has a 4-speed transmission, and this particular one, and that's one of the differences to the Monkey. Monkey had a 3-speed automatic. It was one of these transmissions who work on circulation. You know what I mean? Just can't get to the word right now. Anyway, it was one of those which we all still have on scooters today, and this obviously wasn't one of those. You have a clutch and a gear lever. Right. Then we go to the first page. It gives you the pure black and the gleamy metal version right over here. So that gives you kind of an idea. And then we start getting stuff together, and everything which is blue is what you should scrape away in order to glue stuff to it, because you obviously can't glue on chrome. Certainly not with Tamiya Extra Thin. That's not going to work. So that obviously already brings up the question. So if you glue these two together, once you have scraped away very carefully the chrome on the stuff which needs to contact each other, you will have a quite substantial seam here, which obviously you don't want. Which brings up the question, is it really worth it? Or should you rather go and, well, just dechrome it from the very beginning? Right, we'll go all the way through. You'll see that's where it works every way. Engine, gearbox, the whole bang shoot. Here we put the two together. Then we have pipes. We will see those in a minute. The vinyl pipes right over there. And then getting everything into the frame right over here. And here the exhaust cover, etc. And the construction of the springs battery right over here. Even the battery appears to be... I mean, why do they say scrape it off? Did they even make the battery in chrome? Come on. Then we have more covers over here. Here we have the sprocket and the chain. Sprockets and the chain. Here we have the rear suspension right over here. That's how to construct the tires and the whole wheel construction right over here. This is how it goes into the back with the axle. Then here we have another one of those where you know you're going to have a huge seam. Same with the light bucket right over here. Not what you want, not what I want, and I'm sure not what most people want. We have the front forks assembly right over here, and front wheel and the front part, front suspension, and the whole fork construction right over here. Here it gives you an idea how to line up your vinyl pipes. Right over here, mirrors, etc. And here we're getting towards the end. We have baggage rack right over here. You have the tank. Here at the bottom you can see once again the different versions of the tank. You either can have it totally chrome, or you can dechrome it and have then a decal over there. Here is then the final assembly right over here, and here at the bottom That gives you a black and white idea what it's gonna be looking like. Here we go. Another one of those gives you an idea how to apply the decals, markings, etc. And then right over here, it gives you all the parts, the sprues, so you can check whether everything is in the box. Bit of a color call out there as well. Here we go. There you are. All the parts right down to here, so it gives you a good idea what is in there. Anyway, right. So that should give you an idea what we are talking about. Now, let's put that in the box. Let's start with the decals. You have them right over here. Here we go. Let's put them in the middle and let's zoom in a bit. Here you are. You can see them. It's Honda Gorilla, so these tank decals right over here is when you go for the colored or black version. You do the chrome version, you obviously don't put them on. We have Gorilla, we have the Speedo right over here, and we have some engine plugs, warning stickers, etc. So that's all very, very nice. It's not Cartograph, it's Tamiya, so be prepared to have a not as smooth decal experience as you might have had with other providers. Right, then we have this here, which has all weird and wonderful nice parts in here. It has, for example, the tires. And we are nice and close, so you can see its Bridgestones right over here, nice and soft. Look to have a good thread in them. They have a seam in the middle. Don't know if they would have that in real life. Then we have the vinyl piping, can do all the brake lines, etc. Then we have springs, 2 of those for suspension. I think that's real. Then we have spring here as well, with screws, nuts, etc., which should keep you nice and busy. And that is how you construct the bike. So let's put that back into the bag. Don't want to lose any of that. I will tape this bag shut again, because the last thing you want is when you come to the last stretches and you realize I'm missing a nut or a screw or a bolt. That's not what you're looking for. We have another smallish bag, which I will just go here. Let's zoom out a bit. Here we go. Here we have a seat, kind of grey silver, and we have the same seat in black, so you have the choice there. Then we have this black sprue right over here, some details on it. It's a bit rubbery actually, and then we have the same not quite as rubbery sprue in kind of grey silver. We also have the backlight, which you see right over here, and we have the indicator lights. Nice bright orange, decent size, decent detail. I like that a lot. That actually came out very nice, so that's pretty cool. I'm just going to put everything back in the bag, because knowing me, I will lose stuff halfway through. And then a big search starts, which obviously you don't want. Right, then we have the transparent part right over here. I'm not gonna open that up, but you can see it's a rear light and the front light cover, and the cover for the Speedo, which is right over here at my right index finger. Right. Now let's get on with the big boys. Here we go. All very shiny. Take the plastic off. Let's start with this one. See what I mean when I say all very shiny, because it is all very shiny. So here you see the kind of backbone frame of the part which we talked about. Let's zoom out just a little bit here. There you go. Gives us a better idea. Right, you see that. You see all the other shiny parts. You see here at the exhaust there is a seam line right over here. If you can't see it, trust me on that. And yeah, you'll probably end up dechroming quite a bit of it, which then brings up the question. It's very difficult to hide my German. Obviously, then brings up the question whether you shouldn't dechrome just about everything and just chrome it yourself, which obviously was a lot more difficult in 2001 as it is now in 2025. So I can see why they did it, but I can see why we might want to use a different approach than using this chrome parts. Otherwise, the parts are very nice, very, very crisp. There's not a problem there. All right, the other sprue which was in there is kind of a flat aluminium kind of sheeting on there, or that is so it's not chromy. Obviously, what the engine should be like. So again, we see some seam lines. Again, we might want to consider, or not consider, that all depends, to remetal them. Problem is, I mean, these two parts, for example, are halves. So the problem is their access points on the sprue. So that obviously is always something which you need to touch up. And so others might not be able to see that you touched it up. You will always know you have. And that can be an issue. Right, I'm just going to try and get these back into the bags again. Of course, you obviously don't want that to be stretched too much. If at all possible. Right, now, next one. We have two sprues here as well. A big one and a small one. Let's have a look at the big one. That's again a shiny one. See the exhaust cover. You see a sprocket and chain right over here. Also in chrome, really. You see headline bucket. That seems to be one part, not two. Anyway, there it is. You see the right over here. There's a seam line on the rack right over here. So that's not what you want. Yeah, as I say, especially because it's a 1/6 model, so it's not going to be small. You really will see those folds, and you might want to actually. Yeah, here we go. Seam lines here on the handlebar as well. You might actually want to dechrome it and make it nice and smooth, and then chrome it again. But yeah, that is, as I say, up to everybody else. I certainly will probably go that route. Here we have the reflector of the light, couple of covers right over here, couple of parts which look, once again, have seam lines right over here. I don't know if you can see that. Here you go. It's obviously not focusing on the right spot, but yeah, trust me on that. Seam lines on here, on these pipes as well. And then these pipes are glossy on that side and not glossy on that side. That's not realistic. They're either all glossy or not glossy. So yeah. So while I appreciate the effort to have the spring edition very chromy, and I understand where they're coming from, it obviously is the problem, or it was certainly in those days when they did the kit, and the kit comes originally from 1980, did we say? You see where the issues come in. Same here, we have the tank and the fenders right over here, some other cover parts. And again, we have the parts where they are attached to the sprues, the attachment points. They are always an issue, or they're not. And these obviously need to be glued together. And you don't want them to be glued together because you will have a seam line, and you don't want to have a seam line on a clean chrome pipe. So yeah, that's an issue. So the parts itself look all reasonable precise for the period, but the chroming is good, don't get me wrong, but obviously they chromed over seam lines and that kind of stuff, and especially if you have to. We have another reflector, not quite sure why we have that. Then we have this two-part cover for the speedo, which obviously we have discussed already is going to be a problem, so you don't want that. Some smaller parts over here, not quite sure what that is. Here we are, very nice Honda emblems over there. And then we have a non-shiny sprue for a change right over here. We have another sprocket and chain, which is probably a lot more what I would like to use. We have the kind of clutch cover right over here, covers over there which are not chromed. We have the brake and clutch bar right over there which are not chromed. So that's very nice to have those in. Yeah. At least we have some not chrome parts. As I say, when that came out, chroming was not something which was easily done. And things have changed in the last 24 years. And obviously now you can chrome reasonably well. We have some awesome products which will help you with that. Kind of Molotov made a start, and then everybody else suddenly woke up and say, hey, wait a minute, we probably need to offer something decent for a change. And there are some products which help you with chroming very, very nicely. If you're not quite sure which product that are, please do check online. Go with Scale Fanatics on Facebook. They have lots of experts in chroming, and they will certainly give you a good run for their money. Or join the hangout. There's a hangout there for the Scale Fanatics as well. Just pop in and have a look. Well, here we are. That it is it. That was our Gorilla Spring Collection bench review. So we had a look what's in the box, and we had a look what might be possible challenges in future. And I'll see you back upstairs. See you then.
Here we are. We had a quick look at the Gorilla right over here. I managed to get it back into the package. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And it looks a nice kit. It looks big enough. It certainly is a bike which has some street cred for sure. And I think it will be lots of fun putting it together. The interesting part is how successful are we going to be to get rid of that chrome. Obviously different ways to do that, so I will keep you updated. Thanks very much for popping in, guys. Hope you enjoyed this little review, and I'll see you again once I have news. Thanks very much for popping in. Greetings from Cape Town. Cheers.